Hi, guys, and welcome back to Version of Events. I'm Ellie, I'm your host, and we're here tonight, or today, whenever you're listening, to discuss the verdict in Reanne Coulson's trial. I'm just going to dive straight into it, guys, because it's going to be a difficult one to talk about. But as I'm sure you've seen, the verdict in Reanne's trial, Mohammed Durnion was found guilty of one count of manslaughter and Adam Moore guilty of assisting an offender. And that is what we're here to discuss tonight, because I don't think it's the verdict that anybody expected after a 10-hour deliberation, which, by the way, felt like forever just to me, so I daren't imagine what it was like for Reanne's family. Now, the jury were instructed to find for the lesser charge of manslaughter if they could not unanimously agree on the murder charge, and for the lesser charge, they could also have a majority verdict. The majority verdict in this case was 11-1, which means that 11 people felt that Durnion had not intended to kill Reanne or cause her serious bodily harm when he strangled her. One sole person disagreed with this in some way. They could have been convinced of the murder charge, or indeed felt that he was innocent of all charges, although I find that highly unlikely given the evidence. Now, personally, I think a manslaughter verdict is wrong. I feel it should have been murder, simply because I don't understand how strangling someone isn't meant to cause them great bodily harm. And make no mistake, Durnion strangled Reanne. He also hid her body from the police, doing everything he could to distract them from finding her in his flat, dead. He also stuffed her into a suitcase, threw her into a, quote, deep enough, unquote, grave, doused her in petrol, and set Reanne alight. I'm sorry if you find that graphic, but that is what happened to Reanne. That happened to a young woman, and a jury didn't find in favour of a murder charge. That's the reality. The pair have yet to be sentenced, and I have been looking into the sentencing guidelines. So manslaughter is split into two sections, voluntary and involuntary manslaughter. Based on the reports coming out today, it was felt by the jury that Durnion did not mean to kill Reanne, meaning this likely would be involuntary manslaughter. I looked at the sentencing guidelines, and involuntary manslaughter carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. However, the typical range of custodial sentences ranges between 2 and 18 years. Adam Moore was found guilty of assisting an offender and is looking at up to 10 years in prison, according to sentencing guidelines. So that's kind of where we stand. It's going to be interesting to see how the judge goes about sentencing. I'm hoping for a nice long sentence for both of them. They certainly deserve it. And, I've also got thoughts about the jury. Did they have preconceived notions about Reanne because she had worked as a sex worker and was a drug user, and she was a woman? Did she not matter as much? Did they think that because she entered the flat voluntarily, the rest was partially her fault? Because who doesn't expect to be strangled? Who doesn't expect to be shoved under a mattress so that they would be hidden from police? These are the questions I have, because we have a real problem in this country with violence against women and girls, and it not being taken seriously enough. But more about the jury and how it's picked. You see, in the United Kingdom, you are picked to sit on a jury by a ballot system. 12 people get picked, and that's it. unless one side or the other has a valid reason for an alternate to take the place of a juror. For instance, they knew the defendant. That's it. It's not like the United States where picking out a jury for a trial can last days as both sides try to eliminate out of the jury pool those with preconceived ideas about sex workers who have violent tendencies, negative views about women, etc. Perhaps their style of jury selection is better than the one we hold right now. Video was also released after the conviction of Durnion talking to officers near the grave, near a bridleway, and speaking to officers outside of his flat. In both sets of footage, he is agitated and clearly on some sort of substance in the footage outside his flat, likely cocaine, as he's admitted to taking it in the trial. In the footage at Reanne's grave, he mutters, "She's under there," further dehumanizing her by not even using her name. Detective Inspector Nigel Box of the West Midlands Police Homicide Unit gave a statement after the verdict was handed down. I will link the full statement in the show notes, but this part of it makes me believe that the police think that Reanne has been let down by the manslaughter verdict. Quote, "It was only when our investigation closed in on him and he was shown the emotive pleas for information from Reanne's family that he told detectives where she was and took them to her, although he still tried to deny killing her," unquote. So just bear in mind here that originally, at first, Durnion refused to answer any of the police's questions about Reanne. I've seen a few of you wondering if the family can appeal the verdict, and the answer is sadly no, they cannot. They can request reviews of lenient sentencing, but they cannot appeal the verdict directly, which would essentially be a call for a mistrial if allowed. I can understand why it is the way it is, because how many times do you allow an appeal and a potential retrial until you somehow get the verdict you want? How much would that cost the legal system? But that said, I find myself feeling at odds with the families of victims having no legal recourse when they feel things have gone wrong. Hi all, this is Editing Ellie just dropping in with a few extra thoughts. I just want to add in here that some people are finding bits on Google saying that you can appeal a jury trial, but they are not clear statements on whether it's the family that can appeal or if it is the criminal that can appeal. So I would be wary of thinking that the family can appeal. Usually, if there is an appeal from the prosecution side, it comes through the prosecutor's office, and usually it is because the conviction is unsafe. And in this particular instance, I do not believe, sadly, that the conviction is unsafe. Okay, that's everything from Editing Ellie. Back to the show. In fact, appeals are typically just for the criminal, and if Durnion and Moore have good lawyers, they'll be getting ready to launch appeals as soon as they are sentenced. The family put out a statement thanking the witnesses who had supported them and those who had also, outside of that, supported them through everything. They went on to pay tribute to the only person who truly matters here, Reanne. They described her as a beautiful, vibrant person and went on to say, quote, "Reanne was a devoted mother, a loving daughter, a caring sister, and a loyal friend. She was beautiful and kind, they said. Her warmth and humour touched everyone who knew her. She is missed every single day. She was an irreplaceable part of the family, and the space she leaves will never be filled. Unquote. And that's where I'm going to leave it today, sending my thoughts and prayers to Luke Coulson and Reanne's whole family. But just before I go, please don't forget to follow the podcast wherever you listen to us. And if you can leave us a review or a rating, please do. If it's 5 stars, I swear I'll love you forever. They are both free ways that you can support the show, and the more you do, the more reach the podcast will get, etc. I'll see you next time in a full weekly roundup. So take care, everyone. It's a scary world. Stay safe. Bye.